Just Terry Cochan of the Toronto Sun. Jake, I just wanted to get your reaction to becoming a Maple Leaf and what your initial thoughts are in joining a club that's near the top of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I was a little shocked to get the phone call. You hear rumblings and rumors and stuff like that, and it's you just continue on with your ways, and then until it actually happens, then you're everything sinks in. So very excited to join Toronto. I was thinking about it though, just playing them. How we got beat. I was like, damn. So and now I'll be a part of that team. So it should be. I'm really excited for the opportunity.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from a participant. Please state your name and affiliation and proceed with your question. Participant, your line is now open. You may now state your name and affiliation.
Hi, this is Kevin McGrath. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Kyle, can you tell us what it is about Jake's game that you like, that you want to make this trade, and whether Jake is going to be playing on the right side or not? Have you talked things over with Mike Babcock?
I think the key things for us is in acquiring a player like Jake, Kevin, is that he's obviously been a very good defenseman in the NHL for a long time, and been a part of, when he joined Los Angeles, coming out of junior, they were sort of at the same stage that we are now. So he has that experience of seeing a team mature from being the team that wanted to contend to contending, and then ultimately winning, and he was a big part of their championship team in 2014. So he has that experience, but I think beyond all that, the key is his ability to play at the top end of our defense, play in all situations, play against the other team's top players. He's proven himself over a good career now to be able to move the puck, to excel at playing against high quality competition, and he's able to contribute offensively, but defensively, just thought it was a great fit for us, and knowing his character and what he's about, just thought it'd be a great fit for our locker room as well, and so we're very excited. And as for the question of which side of the ice he's going to play, we obviously are going to have a player or two that are going to have to play their offside, and I've talked it over with Mike, and I think that's more of a question that discussion that we'll have with all of our players once we all get back from the break, and Mike and his coaching staff will have with Jake, and with Jake Muzzin, Jake Gardner, and the rest of our, not to just list those two, but the rest of our defense, and find what might be the best fit to have everybody play to their best potential.
And just to follow up to that, is this anything to do with Jake Gardner's injury, or are we kind of expecting that to blow over a little bit?
No. I mean, Jake has back spasms, and we fully expect he's going to be 100% here coming off the break, and we don't have a lot of practice time, but it's got nothing to do with the injury. It was just to go along with something we've been trying to do for a while now, which was to bolster our defense and improve our club.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from Pierre LeBrun of TSN and Athletic. Please go ahead.
Jake, I was wondering if you could address the fact that I think you've played both sides over the years. I'm sure you're more comfortable on the left side, but what kind of experience has that given you? And secondly, just being part of the Team Canada World Cup experience in 2016 in Toronto, how much do you think that helps you get a glimpse of what the spotlight will be like here being a Maple Leaf?
I've played a little bit of the right and more so my career on the left. But I'd be fine either way, I think. There's good enough D back there where we can figure something out. And being in Toronto on that, for that tournament was, it was exciting, and, I definitely got a glimpse of, what everything is about in Toronto and in the media and the city and everything like that. So, I'm excited to come and to put on the Leafs jersey and play, and we'll let everything else worry about itself.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from Paul Hendrick of Leafs Nation News. Please go ahead.
Kyle, was there a sense of urgency to get this deal done now? We're still 4 weeks away from the trade deadline, but considering the quality of player the Leafs are acquiring, was there a sense of urgency to get it done about now?
I think, Paul, certainly, I think when we're talking about trades of this nature, I think the longer that you can have the player for, the better. And I think especially coming back from the break, it makes it a little bit easier than if we were just immersed into a full schedule. And it gives Jake a couple days with his family to kind of get a little bit organized. This is kind of a life-changing thing, of course, but I think it's just more serendipitous than anything that had happened this early and with us on the break. But I think, anytime we can allow a player to adapt and give them a little bit more time to adapt versus, right at the deadline, and you've only got, roughly 6 weeks left to have 2+ months here for Jake to settle in and help our team, I think was important for us and it was important for us to try to help Jake assimilate into our program.
A quick question. Thank you, Kyle. Quick question to Jake. Jake, I recall a few years ago talking to you and your memories playing road hockey, growing up in Woodstock in ages 6, 7, and the Doug Gilmour Leafs. If you could reflect back on that and just how much they were role models to you as a young man growing up.
Yeah, obviously growing up in Ontario, everyone was a Leafs fan, and I was included. Playing hockey at a young age, we looked up to Doug Gilmour, Wendell Clark. We were all Felix Potvin and net. It's kind of funny how life works, and here we are, and I'm coming back home to play for the team I rooted for growing up, so it's kind of ironic.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. The next question is from Dave Lacarty of NHL.com. Please go ahead.
Hey, Kyle, this question's for you. How much more attractive was acquiring Jake, knowing the fact that he's got a year left on his deal at a reasonable number? And with that being the case, might this affect any further plans going forward in terms of who might be retained? Really, I'm getting at Jake Gardiner on the blue line.
I think it's been stated a number of times that our preference was to acquire players that did have some term on their deals. I think this is something. When I say this, I'm speaking of contending that we're aiming to do year in and year out here as best we possibly can for as long as we possibly can. And so our preference was always to add players that were going to be here for more than just a few months, and that was certainly one of the things that was appealing about Jake. He's still in his prime, and we're happy to know that he's going to be here for at least the next year and a half, and 2 runs at the spring. So that was certainly appealing. And then as it pertains to the future for anybody on our roster, the focus here was just to find a player who can bolster our lineup now, and we'll see how it all plays out with the rest. But I don't think it affects Jake any more than any of the other things that we're working on. And when I say Jake, I mean Jake Gardiner.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Dave Feschuk of Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Oh, hey, Kyle. You talked about how the deal was serendipitous. Could you take us through the timeline of when you sort of began kicking tires on this and how it all came together?
Yeah. Sorry, Dave. I think I might have misrepresented it. But I meant serendipitous just in terms of having the break and not having a game tomorrow and trying to rush to get Muzz into Toronto, and that it wasn't necessarily planned out to be now, but. In terms of the amount of time, I think Rob Blake and I had some conversations going back to around Christmas, and then those certainly picked up again prior to them going on their break a couple of weeks ago. We were very clearly interested in Jake, and they had a number of players in our prospect pool that they deemed to have high interest in. And so we just worked together through the last number of weeks on that, and just kind of culminated today in the deal. So it was a good process. Rob was great to work with, and his staff were great to work with, and very honest and transparent about what they were looking for. And I hope they feel that we represent ourselves in the same way.
Oliver, we'll just take 2 more questions, please.
Thank you. The next question is from John Matis of The Score. Please go ahead.
This question is for Kyle. Kyle, you made a comment about liking the D on your team a lot more than probably outsiders, media fan, etc. before this trade. Now, I'm assuming you're even more comfortable. Would you agree that this group is a comfortable spot for you?
Yes, I do like our D. I certainly, I think we've talked at different points of continuing to try to bolster it, and I think certain players have made outstanding strides this year. I think most notably Morgan Riley has been outstanding, from start to finish, and thrust himself into the upper echelon of the league, and we've got a very good group there, and so to add Jake into that group. We've got some very solid veterans as a part of it, and some nice up-and-coming players as well. So to add him and bolster that group is certainly something we're happy about.
Thank you. The next question is from Greg Brady of Sportnet. Please go ahead.
Hi, Kyle. Hi, Jake. Jake, wanted to ask you, you played 43 playoff games in your first 2 seasons. You've only been able to play 7 in the last 4 games, but you're one of only 2 Cup champions on this team now. So in 2 parts, one, how much is it in your blood to get back and play playoff games regularly, play playoff series, and that Cup experience along with Ron Hainsey, how important is that? There's a lot of guys itching to play a lot more playoff games who just haven't got the opportunity. How important is that to bring more experience? You guys traded for Marian Gaborik the year you won. That's a great example of a guy who's sort of been there, done that guy. You're now that guy in the Toronto room.
Yeah, going back to the first question, I think, I forget the first question, actually. Can you repeat it?
Well, you 43 playoff games in 2 years. It kind of gets in your blood, and you probably want it even more. And then when you don't get a lot of playoff games recently, I'm sure it's been a frustrating few seasons. As much as you've loved being a King, it was great in the first 2 years to have that playoff success.
Yeah, and that's why we play is to get to the playoffs and have a chance at winning the Stanley Cup. And I was fortunate enough earlier in my career to have that opportunity and to be brought in on a good team and kind of thrown into the fire a little bit early in my career, and the last few years it's kind of been a battle and a struggle. But I definitely am excited to have another chance at, getting an opportunity to get there and have another crack at it for sure.